Yes, sir. What's up, good people? It's your boy, D-Boy Henry Heck, back at it again. Episode 4, GG or Die Podcast, a podcast where I talk games, gaming, little anime, little tech sometime. Oh, yeah. I come over here, get busy, a little solo cast situation where I come up here, talk to the people, talk to the boys and girls, the fellas, the fellas, the homies, the homettes, regarding certain things that I'm interested in. And it just so happened to be gaming. It just so happened to be anime. It just so happened to be technology. Oh, yes. We rolling right on along, people. I'm enjoying doing this, and I hope to continue doing it for the foreseeable future. But like I said, this episode 4 got quite a few topics. We're going to talk a little Highguard. We're going to talk a little marathon. We're going to talk a little PlayStation Portal. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. We may even talk a little bit of Crimson Desert. Those people over there dropped a lengthy video detailing certain things that's going to be taking place inside of the game. Little story, beat situation. Let's get off into it. The first topic. Now, our first segment of the show is more rumors circulating around this PlayStation Portal OLED, potentially scheduled for 2026. It's claimed. It's always claimed. Ain't nothing ever proven. Ain't nothing ever announced. It's always they like to create their own rumor mill, so then they can then report on them and have something to post and have something to say, have something for the people to engage with, and it's working because here I am talking about it. Goodness gracious, I'm feeding into the nonsense, people. I'm feeding into the bull jive. But hey, I'm here. It popped up. It's stewing and the brewing. The people are interested in it. So you know what? I'm gonna take a shot and I'm gonna get my thoughts one more time. This is gonna be the last time. I'm gonna read through this. We gonna go through it. Let's get it popping. PlayStation Portal OLED scheduled for 2026. It's claimed. A new claim states that the PlayStation is developing an OLED version of the Portal following the success of the original. We have heard about several leaks about the upcoming PlayStation 6 handheld over the last year, with the reports that it will be dockable, not as powerful as the PlayStation 5, and more surfacing online. Now, new information has resurfaced online on the existing PlayStation handheld, the port. Now it's a handheld now. All the debate going on. Is it a handheld? Is it not a handheld? Nah, it's a handheld. Goodness gracious. PlayStation Portal OLED model is reportedly in development. Why would it need to be? Goodness gracious. The claim about the PlayStation Portal OLED model comes from Kepler on NeoGAF. In the thread, Kepler first mentioned that the PS handheld will be RDNA 5 before discussing the Portal. They then stated that the original Portal model seems to be a success, with PlayStation working on another version this year. When asked which version they were referring to, Kepler responded, OLED version. Now, I've already gave my opinion on this. I don't think an OLED model is needed. I don't think an OLED screen alone will be enough to warrant people to jump out the window and purchase this, especially people who've not already purchased one. People who already have one and I don't know, man, because the screen that's already on there is already a nice screen, super nice, especially for what you're using it for. You know, you're not gonna be watching videos, you're not gonna be streaming any non-games on there. It's not like it's a entertainment device. It's just strictly for the games, strictly for streaming your PlayStation 5 library or from the cloud. So I just don't think it's worth the investment to put that in there, especially with that alone. Now, if they do some other things like upgrade their Wi-Fi, throw on some back buttons, exclusive colors, things of this nature, now we might be talking, but even then, it's still going to be a hard sell because of the fact that the matter is it does the same thing. And also, the current PsPortal is just at an excellent price. You cannot beat that price point. 200 bones? They drop an OLED model, it's at least gonna be $349. At least. And $349 for just an upgraded screen, I don't know, brother. Like I said, they will probably have to add that other stuff in there to make it worth it, in my opinion. Okay? The PlayStation Portal received a surprise cloud streaming update, which really wasn't a surprise. It just really made sense for that to come to the device. Last year, adding the ability to stream select PS5 games directly to their device with PS Plus Premium. Say that 3 times fast. The library includes some big names like Astrobot, Borderlands 4, Final Fantasy, Rebirth, Fortnite, Ghost of Yotei, Grand Theft Auto, bunch of games, remasters and more. With the new update, the PlayStation Portal OLED model could be more attractive to new customers. However, we have yet to receive official confirmation, so readers should take this information with a grain of salt for now, of course. We always got to take it with a grain of salt, don't we? Every single time they open their mouth or fix their fingers to type something. Grain of salt. Grain of salt. Grain of salt. The sodium is... We got high blood pressure at this point. Our sodium levels have peaked. They have peaked. It's like there is no news no more. It's no news. How you can't, like, brother, you sitting up here talking about something that you made up. Something that's made up. We can't prove this. Don't nobody got no sources. Don't nobody want to say who the sources are. The sources are always wrong. Consistently wrong. The people relying on the sources are consistently wrong. This just does not make sense. Putting out, especially if you're working on the native handheld, talking about dockable and all this other stuff. So let me get this straight. They will expect people to buy this OLED portal, then turn right around and buy the handheld, the native handheld. So what they gonna do? Stop selling the current portal that's available now for the 200? That's what they're gonna do? So they're gonna have two PsPortal models out there on the market. One for 200, one for two, we'll say 350, 349. Then on top of that, they're gonna have a PS6 native handheld that's dockable. A native device switch style dockable. So they're gonna be marketing these, they're gonna be selling these 3 handhelds on top of, at a later date or either at the same date, a home console. They finna have all these devices on the market at the same time, trying to get the folk to buy any one of all of them or a couple of both of them. This don't make no type of sense. This does not make any type of sense whatsoever. What would make more sense is this native PS6 handheld has an OLED screen in it. That would make more sense. That makes the most logical sense out of all this nonsense. And usually when you got a whole bunch of people just throwing shit at the wall, it fall down somewhere in the middle. So more than likely, this native device will just have an OLED screen in it. And also maybe also an LCD version of this thing. Because this close, you talking about this close and you launching a revision to a device that sure is successful, but is it successful enough to warrant having 2 versions of it? 2 versions and then a more expensive version? Are they gonna drop the price to the current portal down to $149? $129? Then release the OLED version at $200 or $249? Like, what are we doing? This don't make no sense. You having to do a whole bunch of running around playing hopscotch, hacky sack to make this make sense. And I'm not going for it. I don't believe this, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it all the way true, which I don't believe. That's just me. You know what I'm saying? You might rock with it. You might feel like it's this what's going on. This what I don't believe this one goddamn bit. And I ain't got no qualms, no problem with popping back on here when they release this thing, or if they release this thing and start advertising this thing, we get a goddamn update from PlayStation Blog talking about this thing coming this holiday season. Okay, I'll pop up and be like, you know what, I was wrong. It still don't make no fucking sense. How did they plan on marketing all this? like I said, unless they planning on taking the original joint off the market, releasing this at about $250, and still have put the back buttons on there, upgrade that Wi-Fi antenna. Definitely for sure upgrade that Wi-Fi. Maybe even throw in the Pulse Explorer. Throw them in there like you got you a whole package. All right, then I might rock with you. I might rock with you then. But then even still though, you gonna have that on the market competing with the potential PlayStation 6 handheld. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense whatsoever. Because rest assured that PS6 handheld would have the ability to do some cloud streaming, would have the ability to do some remote play. So if it do all that and got an OLED screen, what the fuck we gonna buy this OLED portal for? Who in fuck would jump out the window buying that? Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, boys and girls. Does this make sense? I'm not rocking. I'm not rolling. This don't sound like it's it to me. You know what I'm saying? It don't add up. The arithmetic ain't arithmeticing right here. Yeah, man. That's all I got on this particular topic right here. That's all I got for you in regards to the PlayStation Portal OLED. And I ain't gonna talk about it no more. I'll talk about it again if they drop it and I'm wrong. I'll pop in here, tell boys and girls, hey man, I should have shut the fuck up. I ain't know what I was talking about. I was wrong. Clearly this is real, and clearly PlayStation retarded. And now moving on over to one of the topics that I'm excited to talk about, which is Highguard. It released on our head tops earlier this week. They did a gameplay reveal and really explain the game and what all you're going to be expected to do in order to participate inside the game. And laying it all out, it is a quite interesting concept. It's a lot of different ideas taken from some other shooters, which initially probably wouldn't make sense, but then when you see it put together and play it, it does make sense. You know, there's some aspects in it from Rainbow Six Siege. There's some aspects in it from like capture the flag mode. There's some aspects in it from Apex Legends, which is understandable, seeing as how the individuals who started the studio and, you know, made up the team who initially started putting together this game came from Apex Legends. Now, the initial player count rose and skyrocketed, then dropped right back down. You know what I mean? And I was kind of surprised to even see it hit 90-something thousand players. I was expecting more so along the lines of 20,000, 30,000, but, you know, it hit that peak, came right back down the next day, which was a little bit disappointing, but understanding. You know, a lot of people, after seeing that gameplay trailer breakdown, not trailer, but gameplay breakdown, you know, had some interest in it. They want to go check it out. They went and checked it out and, you know, ultimately decided that it wasn't for them, for better or for worse. You know, there are some things that the game that should be added to the game, you know, at a gameplay level is solid. The foundation is definitely there. The flow of the game is fun. I had fun with it. You know, I've been playing every evening for a couple of hours. I've picked my main, and, you know, at this point now I'm just checking out all the other characters inside of the game, trying to get a feeling of everybody and what everybody is capable of and what they're able to do, checking out different guns and this, that, and the third. But, you know, the game is far from perfect. There are some issues on PC. Optimization wise, they did release a patch yesterday. I've not really looked into it to see how the PC brethren and sistren are feeling about that. On console, we just didn't have those performance issues. It just is what it is. We weren't getting kicked. We weren't hitting these points of limbo where we were unable to join games. Wasn't really dealing with any hit registration issues. A lot of those things that you generally come across inside of first-person shooters or games as a service, multiplayer games. I just didn't come across that. You know what I'm saying? Not saying they don't exist. They do exist. Hopefully it get fixed for the people, but overall, it's a solid foundation, solid game. At this point, I would give it a 3 out of 5. It is fun. I will be playing it for the foreseeable future for as long as it remains to be fun. They will be releasing a ranked mode at this point, probably like another week. And hopefully with that, there comes a couple of quality of life things that I would like to see. I would like to see a statistics tab where you can go to and look at to see how many kills you got, how many headshots you got, how many ability kills you got, ultimate kills, things of that nature, where you're able to keep up with your stats as a player and also have that go across the board to all the characters in the game that you play. I feel like at this point with the games as a service, things like this you just need in there. Marvel Rivals does an awesome job at this. Overwatch does an awesome job at this, where individuals are able to keep up with their statistics as players. Win, loss, draw, all that stuff ought to be in there, and we ought to be able to see that. And even things like a scorecard inside of the match while it's taking place. Another thing I would also like to see is like a player rating or player reputation type situation, where like post match you ought to be able to like thumbs up or thumbs down, or give different accolades. We could just call it accolades to the teammates on your team, the players on your team, to where it's something else to collect, something else to add up to. And once you get to a certain level, a certain amount of accolades, you may get a specific emote or a skin or something like that. Different things that will allure people to engage with different menus inside of the game. Also, obviously, we need things to earn up, but I'm not really gonna speak to that too much because it's new. Sure, should it have been here in the beginning? Sure. Is it probably coming? Sure, it's probably coming, because like I said, at this point, those are just things you need in this style of game. The main thing I want to speak to is the mode, the map, and the player team size. Now, the people who play the game and like the game, it's kind of 50-50. One of my suggestions were for the 3v3, narrow the map down, have a smaller map, have, your bases on each side, and instead of like a full base with 3 generators, just have one tower with 1 generator at the top. I feel like that'll streamline the action, that'll streamline the match. Maybe instead of it being like a 10 to 30 minute match, these right here will probably last from 3 to 8, 5 minutes to 8 minutes, something like that. Just something quick, so you can get you a quick bite. You know what I mean? And you can run through a bunch of those in an hour. Because I am a fan of games having these smaller modes, these smaller bite-sized experiences that you can knock out before, you might be going on a date night. Your wife ain't ready yet. You better knock that on out. Or something where you waiting on your main team. Maybe somebody's not gotten off work yet. Somebody's not gotten out of the shower. But you could jump in here and get warmed up and become acclimated and ready to jump in with your team and with your boys to play the main mode. Not saying they don't have nothing like this in the cards. Not saying they don't have the bigger maps with a bigger team, like a 5v5 or a 6v6. I do think that'll be cool. One of the homies, shout out to RPG88, had an idea about turrets being placed around the map. That'll be cool when it's a bigger team size, and maybe it's the turrets are like a countdown before they unlock, and you hop off in there, you can get to mowing folks down, spraying and praying. And also, I think would be cool is when your siege tower get up to the dome and you bust through, if that joint had like a Gatling gun on it, you can hop on that joint and bust through walls and shoot up players and stuff. I think that'd be cool. And because the attacking and defensive portion are where the game shine. That's what the excitement is for me. It's so fucking exciting running off into a base, going after the main generator off the top, going after that joint, because they gonna be on you, brother. They gonna be on you, because if you get the main one, that's it. Had a match like that last night where we just went for the gusto, and goodness gracious, it was a slobber knocker up in that good guy right there. We emerged unscathed. Well, I died, but I was able to hold that point long enough for us to get that win. I think it was really, 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 really dope. Really dope. The game is dope. It got a lot of potential, in my opinion. The foundation is definitely there. They just have to listen to the actionable feedback from the people who are enjoying the game and want to be here long term. Not just people who you know, we're just waiting in the wind to get an opportunity to shit on something, and confirmation bias and all these other type of things. I came across this individual right here, the Mindful Gamer, and he had done some things where he had went through reviews and filtered out certain individuals who probably didn't try the game out in good faith, and then he went all the way to the extreme to, you know, filter different people who put in more time, and then people who put in, you know, more time past the refund point. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let this roll.
What happens when you filter out the rage, when you remove the people who booted up Highguard just to leave negative review and bounce? The game goes from mostly negative to very positive. So let me ask you, who's really reviewing this game and who's just executing orders? Highguard currently sits at mostly negative on Steam with 22,004 reviews. But let's look at what happens when we filter by actual playtime. If we filter over 1 hour played, reviews drop to 13,923. That's a loss of 8,081 reviews. And the score jumps from mostly negative to mixed. If we filter over 2 hours played, the reviews drop 7,750. That's a loss of 14,254 reviews. The score remains mixed. But if we filter out over 3 hours played, 1 hour past Steam's refund window, reviews drop to 5,013. That's a loss of 16,991 reviews, and the score jumps to mostly positive. And if we filter out over 4 hours played, the reviews drop to 3,378. That's a loss of 18,626 reviews, and the score rises to very positive. Let that sink in. 84% of negative reviews came from people who played less than 4 hours, and over a third, 8,081 reviews, came from people who couldn't even make it past the first hour. And before you say, well, obviously people who played it longer liked it, that's not universally true. Actual dedicated players like Stroopwafel, who has almost 30 hours, and another longtime player have left both positive and negative reviews. Real criticism exists from people who actually engage with the game. The bulk of the negativity isn't criticism, it's a coordinated hit. Jeff Keighley clearly loved this game. You could see it in how he presented it. He genuinely enjoyed it. But I think he forgot something crucial. Gaming nowadays isn't about fun or enjoyment. It's about tradition. It's about an inability to let go of the past, and it's about fighting a culture war that sees anything that isn't mindless shooting for points as a waste of time. Highguard is not a hero shooter. It's a 3v3 objective-based game with base building, resource gathering, and strategic territory control. It's different and it's new, and certain gamers have made it very clear that different is not allowed. Highguard is not a bad game, it just wasn't prepared for this level of bad faith scrutiny. It should have been a shadow drop. Let people discover it organically instead of giving the hate mob weeks to sharpen their pitchforks. But the beautiful thing is, despite the review bombing, despite the negativity, despite gaming ice doing everything they can to kill the game, it's surviving. The community is growing, real players are finding each other, and people who actually want to enjoy games are connecting over this one. And that's how we take back gaming, one game at a time, one honest review at a time, and one community at a time. So if you've been playing Highguard, I encourage you to leave your honest review, whatever that review may be. If you loved it, say so. If you didn't, explain why with actual reasoning. Drown out the noise with real voices. The people who review bombed the game in the first hour, they weren't the audience in the first place. They weren't going to give it a fair shot. They're gaming ice, doing what they always do, trying to deport anything that doesn't fit their narrow definition of what games should be. So please, let's not let them win.
Now those were some interesting takes right there. Some real interesting takes. My boy said gaming ice. Then he said it 2 times. He wanted that joint right there to hit. He said it twice. Now, that aside, I agree with some of it. I disagree with some of it. What I disagree with is the whole hero shooter. It's a hero shooter. You know, it's not like Overwatch, but it is a hero shooter. You know, hero shooter, even though it's a broad category, it just pretty much means abilities, ultimates. That's what it means. It doesn't directly mean it's like Overwatch. It doesn't directly mean it's like Valorant. It doesn't directly mean it's like X-Defiant, which are all hero shooters, but they're hero shooters of different types. Valorant is like a tactical hero shooter. X-Defiant was like an arena hero shooter. Now this is something completely different. You know what I mean? This is different. It takes some ideas and mechanics from different types of games, and they mixed them all together, and luckily it works. Luckily it's fun. And the main thing to take away is the work that he put in to get to the people who actually put time into the game. You know what I mean? Once you wipe away the people who really didn't care to give it a real try or a real shot and just want to participate in the reviewing aspect of the game. He even has another one where he where somebody didn't like the tutorial. So matter of fact, let's roll that one.
Tutorial. If I didn't like the tutorial, then I wouldn't like the game, so I left a negative review. You can't make this shit up, y'all. The tutorial is not the game. By your logic, Dark Souls is trash because the Asylum Demon kills you. Portal is boring because the first few chambers are just walking through doors. The Witcher 3 is bad because the White Orchard is slow. And Elden Ring sucks because the Tree Sentinel destroys new players. Every single one of these games has a beginning that doesn't represent the full experience. That's how games work. They teach you mechanics, establish the world, and then open up. If you quit Highguard in the tutorial and left a negative review, you didn't review the game, you reviewed your own impatience. If you actually didn't like the tutorial and were acting in good faith, you would have just uninstalled, moved on, and played something else. But you didn't do that, did you? You took the time to write a negative review. You took the time to mark it not recommended. You took the time to contribute to tanking the game's score. It'd be different if you just didn't vibe with it. You did something like someone who was on a mission. I just didn't like.
See, this type of stuff, they continue with right here. You know what I mean? Sure, the optimization and performance was not up to par on PC. So half of those negative reviews, performance stuff. Other half, come on with it. Stuff like this. Stuff that don't really matter. Stuff that's a tutorial. Negative because of the tutorial. Something that competent players don't even really want to participate in the first place, and we rush through it to actually get to the game. But of course, they make you play it. They did a good job, in my opinion, of introducing you to the mechanics. It's not long. You know what I mean? It ain't a long tutorial. You can run through that joint, do everything you need to do and keep it pushing. And then he went on to list out some games where the introduction may have been not up to par, may have been quote unquote not fun or tedious or what have you. People enjoy those games though. You know? People enjoy them. And the thing about this is, it's just the air around the game is just from the gate was just turmoil. You know what I mean? People didn't feel like it deserved the spot that it got, and you know the devs wasted a ton of money. Come to find out they didn't pay for it. Then it was the silence. People just confused and didn't know what the game. And I was on that side. I really just didn't know what the game was, but it wasn't. I didn't come at it from a negative place. I did want the developers to speak up, and ultimately they did speak up on the release date. But when they did, they showed improved. They showed a lot of gameplay, detailed a lot of the mechanics, and I was hooked. I was in it. Based off that showcase, I was in it. It was like 14,000 people up in it. And from the chat, it seemed to be pretty positively received. You know what I mean? Afterwards, people, it hit a peak and then dropped back down. You know, I think now where it sits, we're in the core of the fan base, the core of the people who are gonna be playing and helping to craft the game and turn it into what we believe it can be, what it has the potential to be, because the foundation is fire. Foundation is fire. Gunplay, crisp. Movement, crisp. The attacking the bases and defending the bases, crisp. Could they add some more things up in there to make it more cool? Like traps in the base would be cool. A turret on the siege tower would be cool. You know, hop up in that joint, destroy some walls, shoot up some enemies would be cool. You know, stuff like that. You know, put in some floor traps. They step on a certain specific area, spikes pop up. You know, put down a little floor trigger where it'll shoot crossbow bolts from the wall. You know, have something you could put on the ceiling where it just rain down fire when they come in the area. That would be dope. And then you could make it cool so people wouldn't be able to cheese it where, you know, you can't put them like right beside the generators. You know, have it to where you got to be a certain amount of feet
or meters away from the generator. So you can't just spam all the traps around it, because that'd be annoying. That would be annoying and make that less fun, in my opinion. But just any way you can just run around inside the base, yeah, let us drop some traps right there. It adds a little more depth to the defending. Even though the 5v5 itself does add that chaos and turmoil and a little more depth to it, but like, come on now, let us get crazy. Let us get crazy. Yeah, I'm loving the game. Like I said, I got like 17 hours in this joint, and it's not 17 hours of quote-unquote hate gaming. And at this point, it's not even 17 hours of trying to figure the game out. I pretty much know how to play. I pretty much understand how the flow of the game works, and I understand how to be successful in the gunfights. The mounted combat is buttery. That's one thing that really surprised me about the game. Like the controlling of the mount, the steering of the mount, it can almost turn on a dime. It don't directly turn on a dime, because that would feel kind of weird, but it's also not floaty at all. The turning is crisp. And I also like how, even though this would be deemed as quote-unquote unrealistic, when you're jumping, you can steer in the jump. So if you make a jump, right, and you're about to jump off the map accidentally, you can still steer the mountain to the left or to the right or to the closest ledge and hit on that ledge. And there's some situations where you got the shield breaker and you trying to hit that dome, and you running, you jumping, and then you make a bad jump, but you could steer off to the left, catch that bridge. You know what I mean? Like some real thought went into this game, and it would be a shame for it to, die. And obviously, like I always say, the developers earn the W when they win, they earn the L when they lose, because the overall sentiment about multiplayer games, live service game, is from a vocal, I don't even want to say vocal minority, because I think it's probably a fair amount of people who don't want this type of game, but at the same time can't let the people that do want this type of game have the game. You know what I'm saying? It's weird. That part is weird to me. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily like survival, like, the little joints like Vampire, so I don't necessarily care for them. But I'm not out here throwing salt and trying to cut down any of these games that come out. People like to throw the word slop around. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm saying it right here, right now. I think most of them bitches is slop. I think most of them bitches are thrown together overnight bullshit overnight oats. That's what I think the choice is, overnight oats. Straight up, you cannot tell me a lot of thought and time and planning went into producing all these survival-like games. You can't tell me, because it's not true. The main character that you quote-unquote or portray, it's not even animated. More just moving left, right, up, down, and just random objects flying out of the body. You picked up the sword, you're not even swinging the sword. It's just flying out your body. You know what I mean? But that's the style of the game. People like them. I don't salt drop, I keep it pushing. I bought one of them, played it for a few hours with the wife. It was a bid seeker. That's the name of it, a bid seeker. Me and the wife passed it back and forth on the portal. When I died, I passed it to her. When she died, she passed it to me. We killed like 2-3 hours on that joint. I ain't been back since. I didn't even leave a review, because you know what I mean. It just wasn't my cup of tea, and it is what it is. Sometimes it go like that, but I didn't make a strong effort to. Oh, I don't like these games, so you know what? I'm gonna go rate all of them. I'm gonna go rate all. I'm gonna hop on X and I'm gonna talk shit about them. I'm gonna shit on them. Oh, get off, mate. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Another point he brought up was that I want to speak to is how there's a real effort to kill games these days. There's a real effort to tear down studios these days that I don't necessarily agree with. To be honest with you, I don't agree with it at all. You will have content creators who will see something that they feel like is reminiscent of something else that they didn't like. They didn't play it, but because some other people in their circle don't like it, or it looks a way that It's dog shit. It's slop. It shouldn't exist. Never mind the fact that there are a portion of the people who do enjoy this type of stuff. And then you turn around and see the type of shit they be hyping up. Not the shit on these slots. These motherfuckers hyping up Mega Ball, dog. You calling everything else slot, but you up there with a full plate of Mega Ball? Overnight oats, baby. Come on with it. That's a hit to these type of people. That's a hit. You know what I mean? So if you out here talking about that is a hit and the greatest thing since sliced bread, I'm gonna keep it true. I don't give a fuck about nothing you got to say when it comes to no games. Absolutely nothing. Joan out here talking all this shit, calling this slob, talking about this dog shit. Meantime, tween time, in your spare time, you put $500 in the Mega Ball. Get the fuck out of my face, bro. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Like, you look at a lot of this shit that these people, they got all these opinions. Everything is negative. Look at this type of shit they be playing. Pull up their history on Steam. See what's up in there. See what's in their top 5 dead or alive over there. I guarantee you, 4 out of them 5 games is some bullshit. Some straight up bullshit. And that's it, man. I ain't gonna harp on it no longer. I'm not gonna continue, because at the end of the day, like I said, I feel like this game is in a place where they will be able to receive some actionable feedback from people who actually care about the game. You know, the 5v5, the 3v3, where people thought it was just too small, they listen. And even if they already planned to put it in there, they went ahead and put it in there now, because it was one of the complaints, you know. And again, they dropped those fixes and polishes for PC, which in my opinion, you shouldn't need to do that. Shit should just run day one. It should just run day one straight up. Straight up, hands down. Ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is not their first time making a multiplayer game dropping on all platforms. This is not one of those spectacular looking games to where it just eating up all your PC energy. You know, it's not taxing your PC. It can't be. It cannot be. You know, so for it to release in that state, for those brothers and sisters over there who were potentially giving it a legitimate shot, you know, had it just ran well, they wouldn't have been able to complain about that. I just put it like that. They wouldn't have been able to put that in the review, and it would have just been the tutorial sucks. The tutorial is bad. And that's the long and the short of it when it comes to Highguard. I'm enjoying myself. I'm gonna play some more today. I played last night, but I stayed up to like 11:30 on that joint, which is something I rarely do these days. 9:45, 10 o'clock, I'm gone. I'm old man in it up over here. 9 o'clock is the golden hour to go to bed, in my opinion. Golden hour. You gonna wake up well refreshed. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a young man no more. I gotta get my rest. I gotta rejuvenate. And as we mosey on down to the marathon corner. Oh yes, my most anticipated multiplayer of the year, to be honest, and just straight up game of the year, to be honest. You know, I was hyped for the announcement. I was hyped for the playtests. And I've been hyped after every clip and video they produced. The Vidoc was dope. The Destroy Your Shell trailer, dope. They're putting a lot out for the people. They made and this is what I'm talking about when you get the actionable change and actionable feedback and shift through all the just noise. You know, all the people who wanted it to die based off of the art situation. All the people who wanted to die weirdly enough, for the graphical choice. You know what I mean? They hated how it looked anyway, you know? But the art, they should be fucking stealing. I'm not saying it. They definitely should not be fucking stealing. But it's just interesting to me. You know what I mean? People were just really looking for a reason to dislike it rather than giving it an opportunity. They wanted this game to fail not because it was potentially a bad game, but because it was Bungie who was making it. You know what I mean? That was really the situation. Brothers and sisters, boys and girls, fellas and fellas. That's really what was going down in Chinatown in front of people. And that's just one of those, that's one of those, this falls into that. You know, where the hate mob just move from game to game to game to game. Whatever is most prevalent right now, then that's what we about to shit on. Then once we leave, the real fans and the people who are really looking forward to experiencing it and wanting to try it out genuinely are left and are able to communicate with developers, tell them, you know what I'm saying? That's when you get to the core. That's when you get to the foundation of the individuals who will help curate the game and make it into what it has the potential to be, really. Not people who don't like the tutorial, so they leave it. Not, yeah, those people don't matter. Realistically, those people don't matter. If it's been all the way true. But this right here is a clip from an individual. Just came across it in a marathon versus art style situation. Now, I've always said that I prefer marathon, even when I play test both of them. I still leaned more toward marathon, but I could still recognize the fact that Arc Raiders would probably be the more commercially successful of the two. You know, I felt like Arc Raiders was gonna be a more chill experience. You know, the community really took to the PvE, making it PvE oriented, and that's cool. That's just not my. And the game's not a bad game. I just don't want to spend a ton of time in PvE. It gets boring to me very quickly. You know, you out here, shout out to Weird Trips, you out here just collecting trash, talking about don't shoot. That's what you're doing. Yelling don't shoot and collecting garbage. But in marathon, you in that joint to scrap, and then you'll pick up what's left. You in that joint you in there for the slobber knock. Then you'll loot after the fact. You know, of course, in both of them is robot versus robot. You know, you got the UEMC in marathon. I think that's what it is, something like that. USMC, UE acronyms, and then you got the ARC on ARC, which are generally floating around. Then you got the more elite style, more tanky style, the ones that can get you up out of there in one shot. And you also got some, like the commanders and captains and things like that inside of marathon, and also the other players who are going to shoot you. It ain't no don't shoot. There ain't no hands up, don't shoot. There will be no hands up. There will be no don't shoot. You gonna die. You know what I mean? They produced a clip today or earlier where they were presenting you gonna die. They showed it to you. You had people in the comments of that talking about nothing ruins my raids like PvP. Then shout out to them like bosses. They we'll kill all the enemy players first. Boss, like they not backing down. This is not finna be an Arc Raider situation at all. But anyway, let's roll this footage. See what this young man talking about.
It's a lot slower paced compared to Arc Raiders, and Arc Raiders is third person, and you have more engaging PvE in Arc Raiders, where Marathon, honestly, the PvE to me right now, I know the game isn't out yet, but right now from what I've played and what I've seen, it's not that impressive. It's just fighting robots. The game is first person, so that's literally
You ain't just fighting robots in Arc Raiders? That you not doing that? You see what I'm saying, bro? And not to pick on this individual, he got his opinion. You know what I mean? Clearly, he's leaning Arc Raiders. I mean, obviously he's got a bias there. You kind of tell. You know what I mean? He ain't said much, but you gotta, you know what I'm saying? Also, I don't agree that Marathon is slower paced. By any stretch, man. It's especially with the way Arc Raiders is right now. You know what I mean? You really just chilling, walking through fields, collecting stuff. You know what I'm saying? As long as you avoid the arc, you strolling. You on a stroll. You strolling through the field, smelling the flowers. You are going to be in fights inside Marathon. That's the only way you get stuff is if you fight for it. That's the only way. You can get little nonsense that don't. But if you want the stuff, if you want the goop, you gonna have to scrap. You gonna have to scrap. You want ammo, you scrapping for it. You want guns, you scrapping for it. And to say the enemy AI ain't impressive, it was kicking ass. They had to tune that down. That's why I don't know which playtest this individual participated in, but that AI was smacking fools. It was smacking fools. You know what I mean? The design for them is cool, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Let's let them keep on.
Keep saying that because it's probably the biggest differentiator and probably what's going to drive a lot of people to come to Marathon and play Marathon over Arc Raiders, because people do get tired of third person peeking and third person gameplay in general, because, you know, FPS people will always love FPS and that's what they're going to gravitate towards too, especially people who play Tarkov are going to come over to Marathon and be more familiar with how to play and how the guns work and all that.
No. I feel at this point, I feel like this individual just talking. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, just wanted to produce some content on the game. Some new information came out. It was relevant and wanted to, you know what I'm saying. The similarities are, it's first person. You go sit here and tell me realistic style guns are going to feel the same as guns that Bungie produced the Cypher. No, sir. No, sir. Tarkov is more grounded in realism. It's over here. It's like I guess he didn't watch the videos of how the guns will perform differently depending on different attachments you got on them, and you killing folks and turning invisible and things like this. Bungie is one of the best in the game at gunplay. Just gunplay alone. Take out the you know, add-ons, attachments, abilities, core. Take that out off the gun. Just have one of the best in the game. I say top two as far as gun feel.
Stuff only because it's a first-person shooter. Another huge thing about Marathon that's different from Arc Raiders is that Marathon has classes. Like, they have a class called Blackbird, Glitch, Void, and Locust. Locust is like your tank, where you're able to have a riot barricade, kind of a shield. Blackbird, he's able to see where people are with this like sonar pulse right here that's talking about. And then Glitch is a movement kind of hero. It's a lot slower paced compared to Arc Raiders.
Yeah, he kind of went into him, kind of shout. Yeah, I don't think this individual is familiar with Marathon. Could be wrong, but it just don't seem like it. It just seemed like this individual plays art. Chat hit him up and ask him his opinion about Marathon, and if he'll be checking it out, something along those lines. Then he jumped out the window talking about it, which is fine. Do what you want to do, your channel. You're an adult, but it's just some things that I don't think were represented accurately inside of what he was presenting. You know, especially that gun portion. And I do feel like people are gonna, you know, I do agree with that. People are going to gravitate more to it because of the first person, not necessarily because they're tired of the peeking, but more so just because it's more suited for PvP. You know, it's a lot of guys up in ARC that are participating in the PvP that are probably getting frustrated or probably see it as not conducive to PvP, being able to corner peek and do all that, because it just don't work out. It just don't work out. It's you got to play it in a specific way, and it's in my opinion constricting. I think it's constricting. So that first person peeking in first person is a whole different ball game. You got more to lose because you can't just position the camera to, and people probably figure out some exploits where, you know, if you perform a specific action, it'll take you in the third person for a second, and then you can peek. Like the destroyer shell, you pull that riot shield up, you can corner peek with that, but you can't have that riot shield up forever. So you'll be wasting the ability in order to have a tactical advantage. But I'm sure people will still do it, but you're just not going to be able to do that regularly on the reg. You know, so it's going to be more competitive in that way. Whereas in ARC, you're not really competing with nobody. I mean, it got the leaderboard type situation and you know, stuff like that, which are like, but you're not really competing because the community has just made it in such a way as to where PvP ain't really smiled upon over there. You know, some people enjoy it and they make it work and they over there for that, and that's cool. We got a huge community over there that's doing it for that and finding success. But, you know, the overall energy over there is, you know, hands up, don't shoot. Friendly. Whereas that just will not be the case in Marathon. It's going to be a completely different energy over here. We dropping bodies. We putting people in caskets over here. That's what it's for. It's designed into the game. And even though it is designed into the game in Arc Raiders, people they just not engaging in it in that way. They want it to be us versus the machine, which is cool. They can have it. And some people are gonna come over to Marathon for that reason, not just because it's first person, but for that reason. They want a PvP. And they want in-depth PvP. It's what they want to do. Now, people who are just used to the third person aspect and just love the third person PvP probably won't. They probably come over here and check it out and then go right back. Like people who like the Division PvP, people who like Fortnite PvP, people who like factions PvP. They probably stay over there, come over here and check it out. Or they might bounce in between. You know, exist in betwixt. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. This is gonna be a game where I'm going to dive head first, wholeheartedly into learning the mechanics, figuring things out, curating my build, curating the cores I pick up, implants, just building up a stockpile. So even if I perish, I can jump right back in with my same playstyle, with my same benefits. Cause that's what's once I figure something out to where I'm cooking, I'm in there, and it's probably gonna be something. Knowing me and the way I approach games and builds, I try to find something unorthodox. I'm not type to jump on YouTube and see what's the best build for this, and nah. I like to find my own stuff and create something unorthodox where people aren't expecting. You know. For a long time, I would hop into Destiny 2. I produced some Destiny 2 videos using weapons that people just didn't use in the Crucible and finding success with them, trying to figure out how I can make them work. That's legit what I did in the afternoons for, you know what I'm saying, people were watching them join. But that's what I did. Went through my vault, seen what was cooking. I would literally go by what gun looked cool that I didn't use last time. And I go in there, cook. And that joint was slow firing pulse rifles in PvP. Knocking them down. Because at the end of the day, it's all about positioning. If you got good positioning, it don't matter what gun you got. If you understand what it can do and what it can't do, and position yourself in the best possible. Now, you're not going to win them all, obviously, but you position yourself in the best possible position, knowing what you know about that weapon, and also, not on the other side of it, also knowing what other people are using. Because people going to use the meta. That's what they're going to do, because they want to get the most kills. And using the meta will ensure, most of the time, will ensure that you get the most kills. Even if y'all don't win, you're going to get the most on your team if you're competent with it. But I was like, nah, I'm cool on that, bro. I'm cool on that. I'd rather, because that was interesting to me. That was fun to me. So rest assured on this, no, I will not have a YouTube build. And I crack them jokes. Like, you got a YouTube build, buddy. I never forget one time I was playing a beta. Me and the homies, we were playing one of the Call of Duty betas. It might have been Cold War. It might have been that, but it was like a AK-47 build that it was on YouTube. You know what I mean? And that's weird to me. Like, you YouTube and meta builds for a beta, like, that's weird. And me and the homie just kicking. You know what I'm saying? We tossing back some brews, talking shit, just trying to get used to the movement. I wasn't doing the greatest. We was just fucking around. It was like toward the end of the night, and this dude talking. He started talking shit. and then I had I got a couple in, so I got a little things went awry. I went to talking a little crazy. I do that sometimes. Well, not recently, but I used to do that sometimes. I used to. But you know what I'm saying? I was really harping on the fact, like, my boy, you using a YouTube build in a beta. Game ain't even out yet, and you trying hard like that for some stats that don't even matter, don't even count. Of course you want to win, and we won win. We did win. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't doing that terrible. I just wasn't locked in, as the young folks say. I just wasn't locked in. We was dropping bodies still. He was at top of the team, of course. If you trying to be at top of the team, you're out here looking up videos on YouTube for a demo. What kind of weird ass shit is that? I think that shit weird. That's my opinion. Feel how you want to feel. If you want to use the YouTube video, that's your business. But don't turn around and come talk to me. Don't come over here and talk shit to me. When I use what I want to use, you use what they tell you to use. That's what I tell them. Even when it comes down to gaming as a whole, yeah. Especially around that Highguard situation. People shitting on it. And then they shitting on it. They play it, didn't like it. But then every time y'all post something about you in his comments. Like, what the fuck are we doing, bro? Like, you didn't care for it, but yet you still try to participate. That's one thing about, people were saying that just because the game is free don't mean you need to play it. Which, okay. But in my opinion, if you're going to watch all the videos, if you're going to be in the comments to everybody talking about it positively and shitting on it, if you posting negative stuff about it, you invested now. You are invested, so you might as well fucking play it. You might as well play it. Now, if you see it, don't like it, don't care for it, you're like, not for me. Alright, cool. But if you participating in the hate train and ain't played it, you might as fucking well. You might as well. You already putting time and energy into it. You just haven't actually played the game. You might as well jump in. It's free. That's how I look at that. You know what I mean? No, just because something is free, you don't need to force yourself to play it. But it just, in my opinion, depends on your attitude. You see some clips, don't like it, and you shutting the fuck up, then obviously I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking about you. But if it's something you consistently talking about, you consistently watching the videos of people who shitting on it, you consistently down in the comment section of people who posted positive videos about it, talking about you're glazing. How much was the check with a QUE at the end? What the fuck? Man, folks be doing some wild ass shit, bro. Check clear, like, my boy. Because it's impossible for an individual to like the game or think a game is mechanically sound that the masses dislike or vocal minority dislike. Craziness. Pure plum craziness. And now we come to the end. We come to the anime portion of the show. Made it this far. Appreciate you for sticking through it. Hopefully you enjoyed it all up until this point. But now we finna get into some Dragon Ball situation. So yeah, shout out to Akira Toriyama on RIP to the GOAT. His works brought a lot of us into the fold of anime. Dragon Ball Z was a lot of people's first foray into the medium. A lot of people today read manga because of him. Watch anime because of him. Dragon Ball was the doorway, dog. It was a doorway. And they celebrated their 40th earlier this week. Produced a cool video showcasing a lot of stuff, a lot of new stuff, a lot of old stuff, a lot of cool stuff. And I'm with it, man. I was a huge fan, and I'm still a huge fan of Dragon Ball, though I did not watch Super. I don't know. By that point, to be honest, I was just kind of ready to move on, but also I still recognize the work, the position, the ideas, the fathering that Dragon Ball Z was to a lot of the current stuff today. Goku is the forefather. Are there anime out there that's older? Sure. But there aren't any out there that are older that did what this did. Transcended. This joint was permeating throughout the hood, throughout the ghetto, permeating. You know, you in the hood and you watch art anime, but hey, Dragon Ball Z, yeah, it was all about the Dragon Ball Z. All about the Dragon Ball Z. That was the joint. That was the joint. Didn't even know what a manga was at the time. Didn't even know. But that right there, put y'all. That right there, put you on the Yu Yu Hakusho. That right there, put you on the Sailor Moon. That right there, put you on the Card Captors. That right there, put you on the Who on the Kitchen. The whole Toonami lineup. Inuyasha. Yeah. We was out there on that because of this. Had Cartoon Network popping. Because that was the only way we could get it. Because of this right here. Akria Toriyamas. And I'm up on Sandland, bought that game, played that game. His art style permeate. Dragon Quest, Chrono Trigger, permeate. Hold on, what's it Dragon Quest? I think he did participate in one of the Dragon Quests. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But Chrono Trigger, you know what I'm saying? He went across the lane. Anime. Cause it's a manga guy. Video games. Merchandise. This series right here really, I don't want to say Americanized, because that would be wrong, but really brought the anime scene to America straight up. People can holler Akira all they want to, which, to their credit, awesome. Visually amazing. Story, man. I went back and watched that joint a few years ago. It probably had to be like 5-6 years at this point. I went back and watched it. I'm like, this looks amazing, even to this day, but story-wise, maybe want to ask some people like, when's the last time you watched it? When's the last time you watched it? You know what I'm saying? Now I go back and rewatch Ghost in the Shell. That shit hit every fucking time. That Ghost in the Shell gonna hit every single time. And it look amazing. Look spectacular. You know. But I'm on all that type of stuff. I didn't watch that shit when it first came out. I didn't even watch it nowhere near around the time it first came out. I was well into my late teens the first time I seen a lot of this stuff. Well into my late teens. I didn't even know a lot of this stuff existed. Outside of because Ghost in the Shell did have a show on Toonami. That when Toonami started coming on at nighttime. When I came across that type of stuff. But new Dragon Ball news is exciting. I'm getting back in there. You know, I seen this and you know what? I'm jumping back in. I'm jumping back in there. Cause some stuff in there where it like excited me again. New series. New game. That joint made me want to boot up Kakarot. I ain't gonna lie to you. After watching it, I felt like booting up Kakarot. Keeping it all the way true. And that's what good marketing do. And a good celebration, a great celebration, a spectacle can be, a lot of times is great marketing. It makes for great marketing. I would be interested in seeing what the sales of Kakarot look like right after this ad released. That's what what's the sales of Sparking Zero look like right after this released? I'm interested in knowing. And I'm not sure if they still support Breakers. It's kind of like a Dead by Daylight style. But if they do, if they still current on that, I'd be interested in seeing what that's hitting for. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm pretty sure some folks went out there and kind of picked up that Sparking Zero. I'm pretty sure some folks went out there and picked up that Kakarot. Especially if they, like right after this, they drop a disc, they drop the price on the gym a little bit. Drop the price on them by 15, 20. They're gonna sell. They're gonna sell off the shelves every time. You put out a joint like this. Look at this, 1.6 million views. Come on now. Even 200K sales off of this is hitting. 100, come on, that's a boost. That's a boost, because those games released a while ago. Sparking Zero is more relevant because it's newer, but that's a boost right there. This was an awesome time. This is an awesome celebration, especially, you know, with, I don't want to say surprise, but it's one of those type of things, like, as weird as this may sound, it's like Kobe passing away. You know what I'm saying? When Akria Toriyamas passed away, that's what it was kind of like. You have somebody who's that influential, you have somebody who's that, whose presence is that monumental inside of that specific culture. You know, and it wasn't like a old guy. He wasn't an old guy. He was older, sure, but it was like gone too soon. You know what I'm saying? Gone too soon for sure. And, you know, fortunately, he had some people in place that, you know, really consumed and embodied the type of work he does and can continue it in his name, in his honor. And that's amazing. That's amazing. Like, bro, you go back and look through some of the stuff he was drawing and putting together, and the way he did, like the way he does like motorcycles and clothes. Like how the clothes have a kind of baggy, futuristic astronaut type of puff to them. And then the way the motorcycles, they look old but futuristic at the like. Oh my goodness, bro. The way he did the cars, they were like spaceships, but bro, classic cars that fuse with spaceship. Come on, bro. Dude, he was cooking. He was in his bag. Seeing his story, bro, and it all being celebrated. Come on, you just cannot. This is an awesome celebration. Awesome celebration. I'm gonna leave it right there. It's the end of the show. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Episode 4. GG or die. Enjoying doing it, man. Gonna keep doing it, like I said, for the foreseeable future. Probably gonna start something where I'll post and ask about if anybody got, like, if the community or if the people got some ideas for some topics, and we'll cover them right before we cover the anime section, unless it's an anime type of joint. You know, maybe even expand the anime section to not just a corner, but a whole, like, half of the show, depending, of course. News, week, and game might be a little low. Anime might be a little hot. Expand that on up. Half games, half anime. Be cool. Cool little situation, y'all. I'm with it. Appreciate you coming through. Drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe, all that good stuff. Catch y'all next week, next Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern.